Hello! We know the basis, how we can interact with the Trimble Connect API through the web browser. But as we said in the previous material, it's quite inconvenient to operate on a single HTML file with JavaScript embedded inside of that, especially when you will deal with a much bigger extension, which will do many different things. So we could try to find a better way to work in a JavaScript environment. And for that purpose, I propose to use React. And React is a framework created by Facebook, and it's also, I think, official way, maybe not, this is not the best word, but the suggested way how you should write the extensions for the Trimble Connect, because as you could try to see what is inside of the web 3D viewer, it is written in React. So we will be using that framework, and it will help us with many things related to refreshing the content of our HTML, with the reactiveness, so answering for the user operations. But yeah, we need to start with the React. And just notice, I will not learn you the React. This is not the purpose of that course. I will show you the minimal, the basics of that kind of working, just needed to handle the interaction with the Trimble Connect API. So if you would like to learn more about the React, then just go to some free YouTube tutorials. There's a bunch of them. And yeah, that was just a disclaimer. Okay, so we have the viewer and we know that we will be using React, but that's not all what we need. Because for establishing the proper development environment, we need something more. And during the previous lesson, we have downloaded and installed Visual Studio Code. Now we know that we need React, but there is one more missing piece, something which is called Node.js. And you need to download it and install on your machine. And it will be running in the background. So now just please download the LTS version and install it on your machine. And after this installation, let's try running the Visual Studio Code, and we will have a new window. So let's start with creating the new folder. So I will open folder, and here I will try to create the new directory. So I will just name it like the sample React, and I will work on that environment. So now I have just empty directory and Visual Studio Code. And now it's time to learn about something completely new. And after installing the node, we will be able to go to the terminal, run new terminal, and at the bottom we will see some command line environment. And here please type npm create Vite latest. And you can ask, what is Vite? So this is the next piece of our tooling, and Vite.js is the front-end tooling which will make our life much easier, because mainly we will be using that for those HMR, so the hot module replacement. It will very quickly refresh our changes in the code without losing the React state, and it will be very helpful during the development. So yeah, in JavaScript world, you need a different set of tools, but Vite is one that you would truly appreciate that you are using. So in the Visual Studio Code, let's type npm create Vite latest, and here we need to say what is the project name. And yeah, let's just say that it will be the TC API first. Let's use that kind of a naming. It is our first project. The package name will be the same, and here we can choose what kind of a framework we will be using, what kind of JavaScript framework. And as I said, we will be using React because this is what Trimble suggests. This is also, I think, the easiest way to do the stuff. Yeah, it can be. You can argue, of course, but yeah, let's stay with React. And the next option is to choose will you work in the plain vanilla JavaScript or in the TypeScript? And what is the difference? With the TypeScript, you are enforced to think about the types. So is this variable a string, a number, or maybe some kind of an object? And it can be overwhelming at the beginning, but in my opinion, it will save your time during trying to get, okay, so with what kind of variables am I working? What should I return? So I will use the TypeScript with this SWC Rust compiler. So let's use it. And now the scaffolding was created. So we have some basic arrangement of our project. This is created inside of our workspace. And also Vite is saying us, okay, so now you need to type cd and specify the directory name and then try npm install and run dev. So let's do that like the Vite is suggesting us. So at the beginning, I will just change the directory. Here I am. And now let's install all of the node modules which are needed to run our extension. And it will take a few seconds, maybe 10, maybe 20. It depends on your network, because we need to download needed modules, which, yeah, it's just a one-time operation. So please be patient and wait a while. And yeah, after getting some informations, then we will be able to run our application. So npm run dev, and here you are. This is your first single page application. So after clicking that hyperlink, it will be open in our web browser. So it is served on the local host, exactly the same like the previous live server, but here we are not seeing our internal IP, but here we are seeing the name localhost. And this is our first website created with the Vite plus React. And here is the button which will use the state. This is something specific for React, but for now, I just want to implement, I just want to embed that extension to the Trimble Connect, just to see that it is still working, that we can still operate on that. So I will copy that URL and go to the extensions. And here, yeah, I have to refresh because those buttons were disabled. And after refreshing, I can now change our extension. It was named the Trimble sample. So let's go with our extension. I will just change the name. And here I will specify our new URL with the port which was set by the Vite. Let's save. And now after running, here it is. Here's our extension. Nice. Okay, so I can close our tabs. Here's the Vite, and I will just go with that customization. Okay, here it is. And what Vite is saying for us. So there is the setting that, hey, you should edit the file app.tsx inside of the directory source. So let's go there and let's go to the app.tsx. And here we can see the React file. So we see the JavaScript with HTML embedded, and this is the essence of React. So yeah, you can like it or dislike. I will not start this conversation, but for now, I just want to just edit something. Is it working? Let's just add some comment, save, and here you can see that we have the live update without the refreshing. So that's quite significant change between the live server, which we used in the previous lesson, and that Vite approach with hot module reloading. So nice, we have that. And of course, we can also try to debug our application. So I will now type F12 to run the developer tools, try to look into the sources, and maybe at the beginning, here is our app. Here is our state. So let's go to this button click. Here it is. And let's click that one. And the breakpoint was hit. So execution was paused. And we can see that, okay, so this action is triggered. Let's go to the next line. And here we can see that, I'm not sure why exactly this count is not visible. Maybe this is why. This is because it is inside of the HTML. So the first thing which I would like to do would be just to extract this lambda expression to a separate function. So let's type in our increase counter in our Visual Studio Code. Okay, it will be that one. And of course, here we are dealing with the TypeScript. So we should specify that it is the void. And what else? Now I would like just to increase the counter. So I will get the content of that line, paste it here. And now after the user, when the user will trigger that action on click, then I will just go with the increase counter. And it should work. Let's find out. Yeah, counter is still triggering. Nice, but let's just now add some debugger statement. And after that, the execution is paused exactly on that place. It can be helpful when you will just trying to get what are the internal states. So now let's continue the execution of that code, and let's, before triggering the debugger, just assign some variable test to the counter, just to see what is the current value of that. And yeah, here it is. And after saving, we can see those live reloading. And let's trigger this button once more. And we can see that currently the counter is set to test. So yeah, after going to the next line, it will go to the 11. So okay, that's the essence of the React. Of course, I know that it is not enough. So as I said, if you want to learn more, then just go to the direct React materials, because we are here mainly for the Trimble Connect API. And the open question, okay, so where it is, how we can try to select something, to change, to get some property values, to change the camera placement, etc. So to do that, let's stop our current working. I will just terminate our server, and yeah, I have done it with the Ctrl+C shortcut. And now it's time to install the Trimble Connect Workspace API, because it is currently not in our project. So let's type npm I Trimble Connect Workspace API, and let's save that module to reuse later. So it is there, and we can now trigger the npm run dev. Here it is, and our server is running, so we can start working with that API. Okay, so I suggest to create the new button. Let's stay with that counter for a while, and I will use the new button, and it will be named like operate with TC API. Okay, we have the new button, and let's trigger on click event with something get selection. Okay, it will be the name of the function. Of course, currently it is not created, so we need to create that one. And I will just create the function, maybe trigger get selection. Let's change some naming, and that function will not return anything. It will just go in the background. Okay, so just for testing, console log inside of new function. Let's save, let's open DevTools and trigger the button, and in the console we will see that information. So yeah, it is working. Okay, but we want to connect to the Trimble Connect API. And to do that, we imported the new modules, the new namespace, but that file, our app.tsx, it doesn't know anything about the Trimble Connect API. So we need to import needed statements from that namespace, and it can be done like that. Of course, you can find Workspace API. This is our name, so it can be named however you would like, but that part, it needs to be exactly like that, Trimble Connect Workspace API. Okay, and of course, those lines can be found in the official documentation. I have not, that was not coming from my dream, but okay, so let's format our code, and now let's try to do something, and what we can do. Okay, so we can use the name Workspace API, and at the very beginning, before trying to get set to manipulate with the API, we need to establish the connection. So we need to get the proper object, and to do that, we are using the connect. And here we will get some TypeScript annotations, what kind of arguments are needed. So at the very beginning, we need the window, so the host of our embedded extension. And let's just say that it is the parent of the window, because deeply internal, those extensions are inside of the iframe, and the API is set on one level upper, but yeah, those are just the details. And then we can link with some events which are emitted during the select and during the selection, during changing the settings or the camera inside of the Connect. But at that point, we will not be using that. So let's just say that we don't need them. And I will do that with that kind of skipping. And here we would just get what would be done with those events and data related to them, but we are just skipping that part. The last thing is the timeout, and yeah, by default it is set to 10 seconds, and usually it will be fine. But if you are just getting all of the properties inside of your model and you work on a big models, then you will need to set this timeout a little higher. But for now, I think that, yeah, we can skip that part. Okay, so I will do something crazy and just try to assign that to API. And there is just TypeScript information that it is declared, but yeah, it is never read. We are not working on that. But there is one more thing, that kind of an object, it's not the workspace API, it is the promise. So the promise is a concept of async operations in JavaScript, and without going deep inside of that, try always to invoke the Trimble Connect functions inside of the functions which are marked as an async. And of course, you can read more about async await in the JavaScript documentation, but for that, it will be much easier. So if I will go in that way, and then I will say that it is await keyword, then that API, it is not the promise as it was before, but it is the pure object which we can operate on that. And now, of course, it should not be the void, but promise void. But if I will skip, then the TypeScript will do it for me alone. Okay, I know that it can be quite painful. Why async? What does it mean? Of course, it is related to JavaScript. So for now, just know that that kind of working, it is doing its job. Okay, so now we have the API, and let's try what we can do. And as you can see, now we are not guessing. Now we have the list of different properties which are inside of that object, and it is coming from that workspace. So the Trimble has prepared some documentation, some module the description, and we can use that here. So let's try maybe with the viewer. What is here? We can add some icon, panorama, point cloud, section plane, nice. But I would like to try to just start with something simple. So maybe let's start with getting the selection. And what are the arguments? There are no arguments. We will just get the selection. And as you can see, here we are getting the promise. So still, once more again, it is the async await. So this is the asynchronous operation. So I will prepend that with the keyword await and wrap it into that selection variable. And I will just try to display it in the console. So now, without any selection, I am just getting the empty array. But if I will select something, then I will get the information about those objects. So here they are. I have selected two objects with those runtime IDs. Okay, yep. So here is the basic stuff that usually you will need some operation which will trigger the communication with the API. And when you will wrap it with the async keyword, then inside of that you will just get the await and do some stuff. Okay, so maybe we should try to do something valuable. And I missed one feature with the Trimble Connect, because when you select something, you can of course change the visibility, so you can show only or hide all of them. And yeah, I have it a little more, a little too constrained. So let's do it like that. And maybe let's close the console for now. But what I would like to do, I would like to create the extension, which will just do something like that, that it will create the set of section planes, clip planes, around the object. And as you can see, I can do it manually, but it will be not so good. So I want to isolate, mistake. I want to isolate my object, but with some boundary, with some margin, to get to focus mainly on that particular object, but not in so isolated mode, like showing only the selection. Because when I will show only what I have selected, then I'm not getting the connection yet. I'm not getting what is around. So it's very hard to get, yeah, those elements are connected on the construction side. So I would like to create the extension, which will create 6 different section planes around that object, something like that. So let's try to think, okay, so what is needed? We will be reacting to the user selection. So user at the very beginning will select some objects, like for example, that column. Oh yeah, let's select just one column, okay. And after that, with the help of the Trimble Connect API, we will get the details of that object. And we are not interested in the properties, like those coming from the property sets, but we will be mainly thinking about the bounding box. So we need something related to this oriented bounding box, or maybe not oriented, but this is something what we need. We need the bounding box just to establish the proper section planes around of that object. And that is our main goal. So what do we need? Of course, we need the selection, and we already have it, right? Here we have the selected object. Nice. And then we need to try to get the bounding box. And let's try at the very beginning see what the API offers us. So usually the API operations are asynchronous. So let's start with the await, and then let's try just API viewer, and let's see what we can do here. So probably we will get something, and we can get the camera, the layers, but here there was the get object bounding boxes. It sounds exactly what do we need. And what are the arguments? We need to specify the model ID and also the object runtime IDs. Nice. And I think that we have it already in that selection. Let's find out. I will select my cursor on the name of the function, press F12, and here we are inside of the documentation of the Trimble Connect API. And it is very helpful. So we can go straight to the selection, and we see that the selection is just an array of model object IDs. And of course, the question is, what are those model object IDs? So let's go one level deeper. And here we see that those objects are containing the model ID and those object runtime IDs. Great. So now I will use that in our selection, and I will go with the easy mode. So I will assume that, yeah, the user is working only inside of one model. So because the get selection is providing us the array of different models. So I will just get the first of that. So let's go with first model objects, and here I will go with that sample. And of course, yeah, at that point, let's think what should happen when the user will not select anything. So what should happen when the case will be like that? If selection length is equal to 0, then just return from the function, and let's not bother with some informing that, hey, you need to select something at the beginning. We are just learning. And okay, so I have that one, the first model objects, and for that I can now invoke its model ID, and also I can invoke the object runtime IDs. And something is wrong. Let's find out why. But here I will just assume that those are B boxes. Okay, and what is wrong? Why TypeScript is complaining? Probably because in the API that thing can be also undefined. There is the question mark. So we need to check at the very beginning that, okay, so the API truly returns some runtime IDs which were selected. I will do it once more with the lazy mode. So if that is undefined, then just return, and we will not bother too much. Now that error is not there. Okay, so now I would like to see what exactly am I getting from those bounding boxes. So I will trigger the developer tools in the browser and click that button, and as a result we are getting those bounding boxes for the object. And what are exactly those bounding boxes? So the bounding box is a set of 2 points, the minimum point and maximum point. So the minimum is probably the set of minimum coordinates according to global coordination system, and the maximum are those, the highest one. It's okay. So that is the bounding box of one object. And now what we want to do, we want to create the section planes. And let's try with checking what the API is offering us. So I will just go to the viewer and click plane, section plane. What is the name? Section plane. So we can add, we can get or remove. And let's start with just getting, just to see, okay, so what exactly are those section planes? And here, as we can see, we are getting the array of section planes. And as always, I will just go live. So current section planes, because I just want to, get the better understanding what is returned. And I can check it in the documentation, but let's go with some live trying. And here it is. So I get the current section planes, and as a result, I obtain the empty array because that model doesn't have any section plane. So let's fix that mistake and create the one section plane here. Okay, let's trigger the button once more time. And now, wait, why? What is happening? Why I have saved? Okay, why we are not getting anything? Get section planes. Let's just see those bounding boxes before. Is it returning? Nope, why not? Oh, okay, because we, before we said that if there will be no selection, then sorry, we are skipping the execution of that function. So okay. I will now just move it a little upward just to get what exactly is about the section planes. Sorry, my mistake. So now after moving it before those returning when there is no selection, I am getting the section plane. And we can see, okay, so what is about that object? So we need to specify the normal vector of the plane, and also we need to specify the position. And for the position, we have the bounding box, so it's quite nice. And about the direction, we will have to figure out into which direction we should orient our plane to make it working as we would like. Okay, so that is that kind of an object. I think that we can try to create those section planes from the code. So I will just move back to that position. I will remove those which were created by hand. And now I will try to create some section plane. So here is add section plane. Add section plane, and of course we need to provide some arguments. So let's start with just one section plane. Let's not overcomplicate that. And I will create a new variable section plane, sec plane, and it will be the type of section plane. And what is here? Okay, and here it is complaining that it is not imported as a free type, so it has to be prepended with Workspace API, because here I have used the asterisk sign. Okay, so here we need to provide all of those properties. And what are those properties? We need to provide the direction and the position, and the view ID probably will be set by default. So let's start with the positions, because it should be quite easy. Okay, so let's start with the position X. And I will start with those B boxes, but probably there we had the array. So of course we are starting to touching the point how this extension should operate when there will be more than just one selected object. But for now, we are just starting. So let's start with the first B box, and B boxes, the first one. Okay, so here I will just get the minimum. Okay, why? Okay, bounding box, and let's move it one step up. It will be much easier to operate on. And here I will be getting the minimum and the X. Okay, and then of course, let's go with the Y and Z. So now I am specifying the section plate at the bottom, and I want to cut our selected object in a in a horizontal slice. So when I will be specifying the direction, so for the X, the normal vector will be set to 0. For Y, it will be also set to 0, but for the Z, it will be set to 1 or -1. I'm not sure. I'm too lazy to check documentation, so I will just try it live. So now I will try to create that new section plane. I will not display it on console, just like that. So how that should work? So after selecting something, after clicking, the new clip plane should be created, and it is, but definitely we are looking downside, so this is not what we would like. So let's switch with the direction Z in the opposite direction, and let's trigger it once more. And yeah, we see that there is some problem, because we see now our elements which are upward of that plane, but we are at the bad in a wrong coordination. So we should try to see, okay, so maybe we should see the section plane type details. And here we can see that, yeah, they should be reflected in millimeters. But probably, let's see that the API is returning those bounding boxes. Here they are in meters. Let's find out. Bounding box of an object, but yeah, it will be not here written directly, but probably we need some scaling. So let's start with just scaling manually, and I'm now transforming from millimeters to meters. And once more time, let's select something, and yeah, now we are getting those clip planes here. But of course, I wanted to get those around of that object, not only one clip planes. So I will remove that one and create the array of section planes. So I don't want to create only one, but let's try to create at least 2. So I will do that just by copy pasting. I hope that we will refactor that to make it a little better. So now what is different? We are creating the plane on top of our object. So we will be using the max from the bounding box, and we need to change this direction. So after saving, after triggering, okay, so that is our goal. Nice, but what will happen if I will now select that object and click? Oh, I'm getting too many of clip planes because our tool is not removing the old ones at the very beginning. So this is something which we need to change because yeah, now we will end with numerous clip planes and it doesn't look very good. So we need to somehow programmatically trigger that action, delete all clip planes. And how it can be done? Of course, we need to check at first where it should be done. So maybe after selecting, after ensuring that there is the selection, and let's see what the API offers us. So API viewer and section planes, and there is the remove method. Nice, but okay. What is needed? We need to provide the section plane IDs. Yeah, quite standard because the API needs to know what exactly should be deleted. But this is optional. If this value is not provided or empty array is given, then all section planes will be removed. Great, nice. Thank you, Trimble guys, to provide that in such way. So we don't need to get the current ones. We will just remove all of them. And of course, in your application, maybe you don't want to manipulate with the user manually created section planes. But for that purpose, let's find out that only adding that line, that we will remove the section planes at the very beginning, is it will be enough. So let's create the first set and then let's select that roof. And yep, the previous set was removed and the new one was created. Nice. This is exactly what I wanted to have. And now let's select something different, maybe that thing. Okay, we are getting that object. But there is one problem, I would say, because I wanted to get those clip lanes not exactly at the border of element, because now, yeah, I don't see what is upside. I don't see that there is any gap or, yeah, what is going on. So we need to offset, to move a little. And it can be done by just manipulating with the position of those section planes. And we have to think, okay, so which position should be changed? So for that section plane, which is below the element, we just need to go a little below. So let's go half meter below. And for that, which is upside, half meter high. And now, after getting this selection, I'm not creating the section planes directly on the level of the top or minimum, but it is a little offsetted. Nice. Okay. So it can, we could continue in such a way that we will just copy paste that into, yeah, overall 6 different clip planes, but it's true, it looks a little overwhelming, I would say, that it will be quite hard to maintain. So let's think what we can do just to, yeah, not only think about the functionality, but about the maintenance of our code. So let's, at the very beginning, try to create a new function which will just create a section plane based on some point and some direction, because those two things looks that they are needed to do that. Okay, and how it should work. So that function, it should return the section plane. So let's just copy it somewhere above. And I will now don't think too much about the modules, about the components, just let's create the function. And how it can be named, create section plane. Okay, and what is the return type? The section plane. Okay, so after that, yeah, we need to return the value. Sure. So let's at the very beginning create, yeah, just here was the warning of the first one, section, maybe plain, just like that. And let's say that it will be that return empty plain. Of course, it is not the final version, but okay, it will just be enough to reduce the complaints from the TypeScript. Okay, so what are the arguments? What are the input variables for creating the section plane? And as we can see, we were operating on some point, so that is the point, and on some vector. Okay, and that point inside of the Trimble Connect API is a type of vector. Of course, we could create our own point 3D, but yeah, let's just reuse what is currently. So here I will name it like the point, and this is this type. And yeah, it is getting a little frustrating to always specify this workspace API, but in that module we will stick only with that. And we also need some direction. So that direction, it will be also the same type, but of course the meaning of that is completely different. So we will provide the point and the direction for that function, and as a result, we will get the section plane. And of course, the question is, okay, so what is the logic of that? And the logic is written here. So I will just grab it and copy here, and we need to replace some things. So here we are not providing the bounding box, because the bounding box is too much abstract concept. Here we are just providing the straight point. So we need to replace those things. And yeah, maybe let's replace this 1000 with unit factor. Some better naming just for the future users of that application. And also for the direction, we should provide all of those. Okay. But the question is, okay, so how about this offsetting? Yeah, let's start with just specifying it into the different variable, and let's stick with some constant value. Okay, it is here. But of course, when we will create some vertical planes, it will not reflect on that position. We will need to change some different one. So the question is, which one? What is the logic of that? And of course, it all depends about the direction. So we will manipulate over the point based on the direction. And we need to do that somewhere before creating that plain object. So we have to move a little above calculation of the final position of x, y, and z. So I will create new variables like x, and it will be at the very beginning just point x, just like that. And yeah, we should also reflect that unit factor, and let's replace that on such way. I will just copy paste that, and here it is. So now I'm just moving a little upward what is going, but of course this offset is still not set. So we need to do that on such a way. And in a global coordination systems without any rotations, I hope that doing something like that, that I will just get the x factor from the direction and multiply it by the offset. It should be enough because we will just move in 3 different directions. So let's try that approach. Maybe the sign should be different, but we will find it out soon. So this is our first approach to that point. So we just extracted a new function, create section plane, which will operate just on a point and on the direction. So now I want to invoke that instead of doing it in such a way. So I will here try to invoke, because yeah, we need to provide the point first, box minimum, and also provide the vector. So the vector is like that, 0, 0, and z is -1. Okay, this is our first, and our second is quite similar, but here we are operating on the maximum, and also the direction vector is reversed. So let's copy paste that and create a new object like that. And of course, maybe I have done some wrong logic in the area of offsetting, but let's find out. So I'm just selecting this slab footing and trying, and no, I have not done any mistake. So we are now creating that. Maybe this offset is a little too big, so let's decrease it to 100 millimeters. Let's select something different, for example, that column, and let's trigger that one, and here it is. Okay, so we are seeing a little below and a little upward. Nice. But still, we have only 2 clip planes. So now let's do the same, but with not 2. Oh, maybe without any selection, we could remove those clip planes. Maybe not. Yeah, it depends on your use case. So now let's just populate more section planes here. Okay, so now let's operate on a global X direction, and we should do it in the same fashion. So I will be using the minimum, but here I will work on X direction. Let's check, select that column, click, and yeah, we have more clip planes. Nice. Let's do the same in a second direction. So now I will get the maximum point and provide a different direction. And yeah, definitely I need to remove them just for the purpose of testing at the very beginning. So I will move that line before checking if anything is selected, and it will make my life much easier, because now I am creating 4 different clip planes, but after invoking that function without any selection, all of them will be deleted. And of course, maybe picking the corner one is not the best test idea. So let's pick something which is inside. Nice. Now we can see that we are clipping all of them, but yeah, there is one more direction, the Y direction. So let's fix our mistake. I will try to copy paste a little more, and now we are providing that and that. It should be enough. Let's find out. So now I'm picking something inside, and yes, it is exactly what I wanted to achieve. So now I see all of them. But yeah, maybe you don't want to get those visible clip planes. And I think that when we are creating the section plane, there is the possibility, let's see what are the properties, the direction X, Y, but here there is the controls visible. Define whether handles and border are visible or not. So let's try what is the influence of that parameter. So I will set it as a false because I don't want to have them visible, and oh, voila, it's here. And of course, as a user, now it's quite hard to select them. Probably that function, yeah, now they are visible. Okay, so that's not so bad, I would say. But of course, yeah, it all depends on your use case. Let's try on a different kind of an element. Okay, it is here. Nice. We were able to create those section planes around the selected object, but there's one problem, as always. We have achieved the functionality. Great work. But yeah, maybe there is too much going in this app TSX. Maybe we should try to get this functionality in a different place when only section planes will be appearing. Because in the next lessons, we will try to create, what do we want to create? Okay, we want to create markups and also the searching functionality. And if we will add more and more and more into this single file, it will be a headache. So let's try to extract the basic functionality to a different module. And how it can be done. So let's stick mainly with the Visual Studio Code because we will be working on a structure of our project. So let's go to the Explorer, and here I suggest just to create the new folder, and let's name it like the components. And inside of that, we need to create the new TSX file, which will contain the HTML, but mainly the JavaScript, maybe the logic, how that component is operating. So as always, we need at the very beginning the name, and the naming is always hard. But here, what we are doing, what that component is doing, it is creating section planes. So maybe section planes creator, something like that. And let's provide the extension TSX. TS is from TypeScript and X is from the JSX, so the React way of writing the JavaScript, which is extended JavaScript, because it has the HTML. Okay, so here it is like that. And in JavaScript world, when different files are combined, then you need to provide something more, like the export keyword. And here it will be just that one, which will be exported. And let's create that. It will be the function with the name section planes creator. Okay. And of course, it should return something. So let's return, and I just want to return some object, and let's see what app TSX is returning, and it is returning mainly we want to return that button. This is what we want to do, and it can be done like, well, I'm just checking the, okay, that one, and we are wrapping it inside of that. There are some errors. I'm just trying to see the schema. Okay, why cannot find name React? Okay, because that sign is missing, so we need to import some things. So let's import React basic concepts, like from React. It should, yeah, it fixed that error, but still we are getting that one, that this function is not available inside of the section planes creator. So we need to create it or just copy paste from that, and it was somewhere here. So this is the trigger get selection. So I'm just getting that one, trying it here, and yeah, I'm getting some errors, but okay. Let's fix them by just importing the Workspace API. So it was that import. Okay, we are just trying to extract some functionalities from the previous main component to the more refined, to the more detailed one, and it can be here, or maybe it can even be here. Okay, So it is here. So we have the module, the section planes creator, and now I would like to use that. And for that purpose, I will just remove what was extracted, what was copy pasted from this function. So this trigger gets selection, and now I don't want to create this button directly here, but I want to show the component. So here I will just get the section planes creator without passing any props. We will do that later, and it has some problems. Why? Because it doesn't know where it sits. So we need to import that. Okay, so now let's import that name. And we have to provide the file name, and it is inside of the components. What was the schema? Components, and it is inside of the section planes creator, but there is some error. Okay, I have done mistake before when I was creating this components directory, because it is one level above where it should be. So now I just need to grab it here and also move the internals. And now TypeScript should help me with specifying where exactly it is. So it was my mistake, sorry. The level of that components directory was wrong. So now I have this import statement. I am not displaying directly the button, but I am displaying the component. And what is the difference? That now it will be much easier to understand. Okay, so how it works, and also we get exactly the same effect. So let's try to select something, and it is still working. So we have created our first component, this section planes creator. If you would like to get more details about the React components, then just go to the YouTube materials. And now I see that this import was not needed, and it was just because of my mistake when I created that on a wrong level. So let's save that. Let's save also that. And okay, yeah, now it is complaining that I don't need the Workspace API on that level, but we will use it later. So let's stay with that. Okay, so quick recap what we have done now. So we have created our first extension, which is hosted inside of the Trimble Connect 3D viewer, and it can create the section planes around the selected object. And okay, I think that I missed one thing, because I said that, hey, how the tool should operate when there will be more than just one object selected. And now it just picks the first one. So it's quite inconvenient for the user. And yeah, before finishing, I just wanted to finish that material, but let's fix that. So now we are not working on the app.tsx scope, but let's go straight to our file, and let's close the others. So we should try to get, okay, where our picking the first bounding box is happening. And I see that it is here. So here we are asking Trimble Connect API, hey, please give us the bounding boxes of those objects. We are getting the array of the object bounding box, but then we are saying, hey, no, we just want to work on the first one. So we need to change this line. So here we don't want the first bounding box, but the summary of them. So we need to create some function which will add those bounding boxes, something like that. I think that this is exactly what do we need. So before trying to change that function, let's just create a new function which will add two bounding boxes, and as a result create the new one. So let's just create some function, add b boxes, and what are the arguments? Of course, we need to provide the box 1, and also we need to provide box 2. And what this function will return? Another box. So at the very beginning, I will just return the box 1. Okay, and now I think that we can also do one more thing, because yeah, this prefixing everything with Workspace API is a little too much for me. It just makes this code will be too much bloat. So what I would like to do, I just want to remove it to one place and then use this quick fix, and it will, oh, that quick fix was not like I wanted. Yeah, I just wanted to get those direct imports for specific types. And after that, I will remove the old type and I will fix some things. So here, vector 3 is not defined, so let's update that import. Section plane probably is also not there, so let's update that. And what's more, that one. And for that one, let's remove the namespace. Here we will just import the name connect, and it's probably a function. Yep, here it is. And there is one more error here. Okay, so I just wanted to get those names a little shorter. Okay, and of course we needed to create this summary for bounding boxes and how it can be done. So let's at the very beginning create a new variable like the result, and let's start with just saying that it will be exactly the same like the first box. So I will specify that this is the box 3, and then let's specify this, it should be like that. And for the minimum, it will be the first object, and for the maximum, it will be also the first. So I'm assuming that the result, it is exactly the same like the first provided box. But of course, it could be done, it could be different. So now we need to compare every coordinate. So let's start with something like the minimum x. So if the second bounding box, if the box 2, its minimum on the x direction is less than our current result, then we will have to provide a different result. So in that case, we will just say that result x, okay, it is coming from the box 2. It is like that. Okay, and the same stuff we need to do for every minimum. So y, okay, it is like that. And then for the maximum, we will do quite the same, but of course with a different type of comparison, because for the max, we are not checking if it is less, but if it is bigger, then it should be treated as a new value. And I hope that during this copy pasting, I have not done any mistake. Just quick check, and it should be fine. Okay, so we have a function. Great. But why do we need that? Because on that place, now we are assuming that we are just using the first box, but probably we will not do that. So I want to get those bounding boxes with the reduce. I think that it will be much easier. So yeah, that object is not so convenient because it also provides some object runtime ID, which we are not using. So let's start with some just mapping to decrease it only to the bounding box. So this is here. So after that, we are getting the array of box 3D. And now I can use the reduce, and how it works. Here we should provide probably 2 different arguments, and we want to invoke this add bbox function. And I hope that I have not made any mistake in a JavaScript function. So at the very beginning, we are only selecting those bounding box properties from the object returned by the API, and then we are reducing them. So every pair will be added, something like the aggregation in .NET. So let's find if it will be enough just to get our proper result. So let's start with what we had. So for one object it is working, but what will happen if I will select 2 of them? Previously it was working just for the first one, and now I'm getting the what I wanted. But let's do it maybe a little more harder. So let's grab that column, and okay, fine, it's working like I think it should. What I wanted to do that. So that's all. Now that's all for the section planes. We are creating 6 of them. Maybe you would like just to create the horizontal ones, just to get the floor. It's up to you. Maybe you can then work with the state of that section plane creator component. It can be quite useful, but for now, That's all. So please try on your own if you would like. And if not, then just wait for the next material about the markups. For today, thank you very much and see you next time.